In this lesson, we are going to revisit order of operations. So order of operations follows the rule of BEDMAS, or some people use P instead of B for parentheses instead of brackets. Now, we all have a good understanding that whenever we see brackets or parentheses working left to right, we do those, whatever operation is in those brackets first. And if there's more than one operation in the brackets, we follow BEDMAS within the brackets. Second is exponents, which we're not going to work on today. We're not going to see any of those, but this is where most people struggle with. The next is division or multiplication. You don't do division before multiplication or multiplication before division. You do them in the order they appear working left to right. So if it's division first, you would do that and then multiplication, or vice versa. These both fall in the same step. Same thing with addition and subtraction. Whichever one appears first, working left to right. So this is just a memory tool to help remember it. So a lot of people, because this memory tool is written this way, they think division comes before multiplication. It's not true. Division and multiplication are inverse operations, right? Because we've been learning in fractions that dividing by 3 is the same as multiplying by a third. So how would you know which one to do first if really they're both the same thing? So division can be rewritten as multiplication and vice versa, so they are in sense the same operation. All right, so we are going to practice our order of operations in fractions, with fractions. And so when we look at this set of fractions, I can see that there's a subtraction and a multiplication. So I need to do the multiplication first, making sure you put the answer right below it. I'm going to cancel out, and I'm going to get the answer of 1/3. Now I'm going to bring down what I haven't used. I'm going to bring all this down. You could choose to change that to improper and add and subtract using improper fractions, or you can choose to leave it mixed and add and subtract using mixed. It doesn't really matter. If my whole number is small, I would probably just change it to improper. If it was a really large number and it gave me big numbers, I'd probably leave it as a mixed. Since it's small, let's go ahead and change it. So I'm going to get 7/4. So I saved myself a little bit of work there. Now I can get my common denominators and I can add. So I know that I'm going to multiply by 4. I'm going to multiply by 3. And I now have my common denominator. When you're adding and subtracting fractions, you have to have a common denominator. 21 minus 4 is 17, all over 12. Or if we change that to a mixed, 12 goes in once with 5 left over. All right, so we have to make sure we follow order of operations. Over here, because there's brackets around that, if the brackets weren't there, that would change my order. I'd have to divide first and then subtract. Because I have brackets, I have to do the order of operations first. So I have to do the brackets, so I'm going to multiply by 5. Get a common denominator, multiply by 4, get a common denominator, do the brackets. 16 minus 5 is 11/20. I'm going to bring down my division sign. Order matters, so you have to bring it down in the same order. Since I have to change this to improper in order to divide, I'm going to do that while I'm bringing it down. Save myself some time. 2 groups of 5 is 10. 10 plus 1 is 11. So now I have 2 1/5, or 11/5, divided by the answer to that bracket. Now I can rewrite this as multiplying by the reciprocal, and now I can do my canceling, and I can get my final answer. All right. It can get more complicated. So in this question, I would have to do the brackets first. So I'm going to change this one to improper and change this to 5/4 minus 3/4. I'm going to get my answer of 2/4. While I'm bringing everything down, I'm just going to change it all to improper because I'm going to have to multiply. So let's just change it all to improper, and the numbers are small. So I'm going to get 5/2, and I'm going to bring down my plus 7/2. Okay. Now I have to make sure, it's very tempting to add those. I already have a common denominator. It's very tempting, but I can't do that because I have to multiply before I add. So now when I go to multiply, I'm going to get 5/4, and I'm going to bring down my 7/2. Now I can get my common denominator by doubling, And now I can go ahead and add my numerators and keep my denominator and change that to, goes in 4 times with 3 left over. Change to mixed. All right. If I look over on the right to the next question, I can see I have a subtraction, a multiplication, and a division. So I want to do multiplication division before subtraction. Since this is all multiplication and division, I can do it all in order left to right, or I can do all 3 at a time. So let's go ahead and rewrite this as improper. So I'm going to get 7 over 5 multiplied by 5 over 4, 5 over 2, don't know where the 4 came from, divided by 9 over 8. And dividing by, so if this is 9 over 8, why don't I just save myself some time and say, well, that's the same as multiplying by 8 over 9. Okay, I'm going to bring this down, and I'm going to change this to, well, let's just leave it. Let's see if it works out. So I don't have to work with big numbers. 1820 over 3, that's not too bad. That's pretty easy to do. So let's change it to 20 over 3. And so now I need to get the answer to that multiplication first. So I need to do all my canceling here. Do we see canceling? I see the 5s can cancel and that, and I don't see anything else. So we are going to be getting 28 over 9. Right? Subtract, I'm going to bring this down, but I'm going to get a common denominator since I know I'm going to be subtracting. So I'm going to times by 3, and I'm going to times by 3. And so now I can subtract 20 minus, or 60 minus 30 would be 30, so add 2 more, so 32 over 9. And so this is going to get me 3 and 5/9. All right, so we just have to make sure we remember when we're multiplying and dividing mixed fractions, they need to be improper. You need to do that before you do addition, subtraction. Addition, subtracting, you need a common denominator. You can either leave it mixed or you can change it improper if the number's not too big. A lot of times in order of operations, I typically would change them to improper if the numbers are not too big, just because I'm mixing, multiplying, and dividing together. Okay, here's an example here where I have 2 fractions in brackets plus another 2 fractions in brackets. I have to do the brackets first. Let's practice leaving it mixed, and let's see how that goes with leaving it mixed. So I know I have to do in the brackets first, so I'm going to get times by 4, times by 3. So in this case, I'm going to get 5 and 4/12 minus 2 and 3/12. So that's going to be 5 minus 2 is 3, and then 4/12 minus 3/12 is 1/12, right? And then over here, I'm going to get times by 3, times by 4. Here, 3 minus 4 is not going to work, so I'm going to have to borrow. Do we remember how to borrow from this whole number? That knocks it down to a 4, and that knocks that up. Add 12 to it, we're going to get 15. So we're going to get 4 minus 3 is 1, and we're going to get 15 minus 4 is 11. So we can practice our borrowing there. Otherwise, if that gets confusing, you just change them to improper, and you could do it that way. But I'm showing you how sometimes when you leave it as mixed, it just keeps it simple here. Oh, now that they're mixed, I can just go 3 plus 1 is 4. 1/12 plus 11/12. Oh, that's 12/12, isn't it? So 4 plus 12/12 is going to be 5. 4 plus 1. All right. This one's a tricky one. Let's see if we can figure out what to do with this one. This is 1 plus 1 divided by this sum. So I need to do, whenever you have a fraction, you need to do, the numerator denominator has those hidden brackets. So I need to do 2 plus 1/2 first. So 2 plus 1/2 is the same as 2 and 1/2. So basically you're just changing it into improper. So you're getting 1 plus 1, and 4 plus 1 is 5 over 2. Now I need to do this division before I add. 1 divided by 5 over 2. What's 1 divided by 5 over 2? Let's look at this. 1 divided by 5 over 2 is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, which is 1 times 2 over 5. Well, that just equals 2 over 5. So this is going to be the same as 1 plus 2 over 5, right? The reciprocal of that. And now 1 plus 2 over 5, well, that's just a mixed fraction. That's the same as 1 and 2/5. And we can just leave it like that, 1 and 2/5. And that's your final answer there. So that is order of operations, where I put some tricky questions at the end, just making sure that you are following the brackets first, then multiplication, division, and last your addition, subtraction, left to right in the order they appear.